What's up, everybody? It's your boy B. Scott with the Philadelphia Eagles. I just want to thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star rating. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Alright, hey guys, welcome back to the Eagles Brawl, Philly Sports with Giovanni. Today I'm here with the Babes on Broad. Hi guys.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, Gio. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Good. I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good.
We'd be better if the Eagles won, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a tough loss.
So
Brutal.
Yeah.
Awful.
Alright, so I'm going to start off here. The O-line did better than last week. They didn't let Carson have 8 sacks again, so that was good.
Definitely.
Yeah, Doug actually ran the ball for once in his life. They doubled the yards for last week, the rushing yards for running. I want to get your guys' opinion on this because I thought it was pretty sneaky when Doug put Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz on the field at the same time. It kind of threw me off at first, and then it was kind of cool. So I didn't know how you guys felt about that.
My only thing about it is the fact that Hurts is on the field so little. When he does come on the field, it's like, okay, Jalen Hurts is here. He's going to get the ball, So that's my only thing about it is they kind of need to be a little sneakier and not make it as obvious. But at the same time, I don't know necessarily how you would do that. Do you have an idea, Jess?
I just think so. I think a lot of people compared him to the Saints with doing what they do with Taysom Hill. And when they bring Taysom Hill on the field, I think they have a lot of different plays that they can run with him. Obviously, he's a quarterback, but he can catch, he can block, he can do a lot of different things. And they kind of, defenses kind of know that there's going to be something sneaky happening, but they don't always know what it's going to be. So I think the Eagles are creative enough, and I think Doug is creative enough that he could come up with something. But I think it's silly to put him on the field if they're not going to actually use him. So I think they should, because they used a second-round draft pick on him, but they need to actually find a good way to do it and get him the ball and make him useful.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that they could have done something better with him in that game. Carson actually threw the ball away. That was surprising. He's learning. He's learning how to do it.
Yeah, that was about one of the only positives of Carson this past Sunday.
This game they actually gave Zach Ertz the ball, which was kind of nice. 5 receptions for 42 yards with Ertz. I was so excited to see that Ertz was in the game. And it was good because last week I was really sad because they didn't put him in the game at all. All right, so here's the downside. Carson, he threw it away and all. 2 interceptions. That cannot happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 interceptions in each game so far this year.
Yeah, I think he could have done better. But Doug is pushing Carson to be a QB that he's not, and I think it all starts with coaching, and I think that he needs to let Carson run and roll out of the pocket, and I think he just needs to let Carson be Carson. Let Carson be the Carson that he was in 2020. In 2020. In 2017. I think we need to let Carson be Carson.
No, and you're right. And we actually had an episode that dropped earlier today, and that was Jess's thing, was all about that. So Jess, you want to?
I keep yelling about it, and I yelled
Yeah.
about it last week, and I'm gonna yell about it again until I'm blue in the face or until they make me the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles because I totally agree with you, Gio. I think that they're trying to make Carson Wentz something he's not. And if you look at what the Rams did with Sean McVay and with Jared Goff, Sean McVay knows what Jared Goff is, knows what he can do and what he can't do, right? And they were in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and they did not do a very good job then, but there's still enough talent to get there. And I don't think Jared Goff is any better of a quarterback than Carson Wentz, but the offense is designed to play to his strengths, not just some design that the coach comes up with and tries to make it all happen on the field. They do it in order to make sure that Jared Goff is in the best position to succeed. They dropped him straight back 3 times in, I think it was the second quarter. He got sacked, then he threw the ball away, then he had to throw it into the ground because he had defensive linemen in his face. And after that, they didn't go near it again. They just kept running play action, and that's what was going on because also the defense was biting on everything, and that's a whole different conversation. But they're trying to make Carson be this pocket passer, and can he grow into a pocket passer? Sure, but he shouldn't be contained in that way. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that each quarterback is different, and Carson is a quarterback that likes to roll out and run the ball. I honestly don't know if they can teach Carson to be a pocket passer. I really don't know. The defense let them score. On paper, our defense is awesome, and we have the talent. I just think I don't know if they're just not putting in enough effort or what, because they gave up a lot of points, and yeah, I think they could have done better. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they definitely could have done a lot better, especially with allowing all the points that they did.
Mm-hmm.
But we also, one thing is like, yet again, a second week, you saw Fletcher like early in the game. I remember being like, there he is. And then he just fell off and you didn't see him the rest of the game. You didn't really hear much of Hargrave, which I don't know if I was really expecting with his debut coming off of how fast he came back out of nowhere. But and Jackson. So like there were so many guys like you just expect to hear their name. And Darius Slay had that. I think he got the wind knocked out of him, but that was worrisome. But like other than that, you didn't really hear anybody's name. They were just kind of rolling with the punches. And we talked about it on our show, Jess. Like Nicole Roby-Coleman did not do well. Maddox got beat a lot. Nate Gary got killed the entire game. So like
Linebackers,
yes. But like so there's just so many people besides the linebacking position, but like so many names that we have. And like you said, on paper, they should be amazing. And they're just, you don't hear them and they're just letting them go. And they do get stops here and there, but not always when they need to. And it's worrisome. And I think it'll come because of the talent that they do have, but man.
But how many times do we have to do this every year? I feel like, Giovanni, tell me if you agree. Every year it takes like 5 or 6 games and people are pounding the table and screaming, where is Fletcher Cox? Where is Fletcher Cox? He's supposed to be good enough that we should be seeing him every week and not be having this conversation every year, especially with the salary that he's making these next couple of years. I think it's like $22 million this year. And I mean, I think maybe the same next year or something a little bit higher. What do you think? How does that frustrate you? Or do you think it's something we just kind of have to deal with at this point?
It's so frustrating because Fletcher Cox is like one of our best players on defense, and it's the fact that he didn't sack Goff at least once. That was frustrating to me, and yeah, I don't know. It was just
it's one of the things they always say. It's good when you don't hear an offensive lineman's name, But then on the opposite side, it's terrible when you're not hearing any of your defensive line's name, So definitely need to step it up this upcoming week.
Yeah, they need to step it up. I think if they use next game should be fairly easy. If they use next game as kind of like practice to get their head straight, I think that will be good for our season. Hopefully I'll be able to make a podcast next week where we won.
Yeah, your first winning celebratory. But the thing that worries me about next week is he's like Joe Burrow, and I do think that he is a winner and he knows how to win, even though obviously he can only control so much. But I think the only thing that worries me is the fact that he said the first week or last week or something, he never lost 2 games in a row in his life. And now this would potentially be his 3rd straight loss. So I don't know. I feel like they both kind of have, Jess is scratching her head. I think they both kind of have some momentum and like urge and desire to win this game. I think we should win, but I mean, we should have won the first 2 weeks as well. So
apparently Bengals Twitter is like, we got this. We're playing the Eagles this week. Joe Burrow's going to get us. Oh, yeah. Bengals Twitter's all in on Joe Burrow getting his first win against the Eagles.
That always comes back on Gio.
It hurts.
It angers me to know that a team like the Bengals, like last year, they did nothing. And it just angers me to know that a team like the Bengals are saying it's going to be an easy win against us.
Well, that's how poor we're playing right now. It's so frustrating. Our team is not even close to as bad as they're playing right now. And it's just so frustrating because, like, it seems like it's so close and you're just like, just do the right things. And it doesn't make sense why they're not doing the right things or what's happening. I don't know. And they keep trying to use the excuse like they didn't get preseason games. So maybe that'll change it this week. And you know what I mean? Because you got 2 games under your belt. You can't really use that excuse anymore. Yeah. So I don't know.
Nobody got a preseason.
Yeah.
Everybody, and they talked about, we didn't get hit and we didn't have enough prep. Everybody had the same amount of time. No one else is having these. Just you. It's just you.
Well, actually, a couple teams are having issues. The
Niners
and Saquon.
The injuries, dude. The injuries are bad. That was, okay, one positive. There was only the one injury, and it's terrible. Isaac Seumalo was on IR. But we came out relatively injury-free.
Yeah.
Positive. Knock on wood.
This is another thing that really irritates me, is that people are saying bench Carson for Hurts. That makes me so frustrated because, we saw some good from Carson in that game. And like I said earlier, I think it starts with coaching, and I think that Doug is trying to make Carson a quarterback that he is not. And honestly, Eagles Twitter, I don't know what they've been thinking this season, because from the Zach Ertz thing to now Carson, them wanting to bench Carson, it makes no sense. And I wanted to ask you guys how you felt about that, because it irritates me and it makes me annoyed.
Yeah, I have been tweeting about this since the game on Sunday. It's just so frustrating, the fact that Carson has had incredible glimpses. And Dan Orlovsky got ripped on First Take yesterday because he was still basically in our boat. Like, we understand Carson's played poorly these last 2 games. He has not played like Carson, and he is a big part to blame with these last 2 losses. But at the same time, like, with all his potential and all his talent that we know he has, and all that just wraps up. And I think that you can't just have 2 games and be like, he's over. Because anybody in their whole career can have 2 games, especially in a year like this where it's so weird. And it's been like no preseason. They have just all these different things. And I think that all factors into it. I think that Howie Roseman's a big part to blame with it because he put another mental state on Carson. So that's my biggest blame right now is Howie. But I mean, it makes me so frustrated that everybody wants to put the blame on Carson instead of looking around like how you're talking about. Doug's a big part to blame too with the play calling. He's not playing the Carson specialties. And then how Howie wants to give him no weapons and instead get his potential replacement in case he's injured in the second round. And I think all of that coming together is just exploding and it's not fair to Carson. And I think Eagles fans have just been locked up inside too long and just needed to unleash it all, and they're taking it out on Carson. But
I mean, it's the same people that a year ago were like, without Carson, we never would have been able to get to the playoffs. Yeah. And then he, gets cheap shotted against the Seahawks, and it's like, he's always hurt. He can't do anything. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this point, and it's impossible to deal with. My parents always used to tell me you can't argue with stupid, and I think that's pretty accurate when it comes to some of these things. I just think that, obviously Carson's played poorly, but he's not he is a problem. He's not the only problem. And I understand that, they're two of the best tight ends in the league, the best tight end duo in the league. Okay, but they're still trying to, they've got a contract dispute going on with one of them, who's the number one target, the most reliable receiver that Wentz has had in his time here. You have an aging offensive line that you didn't address in the draft. And finally, after, obviously, so, I think why people are so hard on Carson is because they've seen what he can do. And they know that his ceiling is so high that it's, you just expect that at this point. That's what you expect him to play like. And, obviously the Super Bowl year, Nick Foles called lightning in a bottle. So you have to keep him around because Carson still wasn't going to be healthy to start the year. So then, he does it again, right? And finally they get rid of Foles. Carson comes in, plays 16 games, which everyone was screaming that he couldn't do again after he did it his rookie year, and he gets cheap shotted. This would have been his year to finally get that monkey off his back, finally not have that pressure, finally just be able to go out there and be Carson, not worry about a surgery or a rehab or anything like that. He had a concussion. He had to clear the protocols and things like that, but he didn't have to go through a serious offseason rehab like he did with the back or the ACL. And,
who ruined it this year, Jess?
Howie Roseman ruined it. It was his chance. And what do? They go draft a quarterback with the second round draft pick. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, that was my next question. I wanted to know how you guys felt about Howie, because literally he has lost his mind. And yeah, that's the only way to put it. He has lost his mind.
No, and I think the thing with Howie is he kind of got like that power high after the Super Bowl because he did good, do good that year. He brought in the right people. He is always great with the cap. So he brought in the people they needed that year and it just worked. They had the chemistry, everybody fed into it and it worked. And then ever since then, I feel like he's just kind of bringing in these guys that sound good on paper and he thinks they're right, but he's not actually evaluating the talent and everything that goes into it. And he's just like, oh, I like them. I'm Magic Man, and place them here and thinks that it's automatically going to work. And it's not. And I think he's too much on his high horse right now that he thinks he can do no wrong. And I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. Again, with Howie, I think another reason, I think he has that rush where he has all that power, and I think that's another reason why he took Zach Ertz out of the game plan after they had that argument, because I think he was like, oh, you're disrespecting me, I'll take you out of the game. And, I think that's why we lost against the Washington football team too, because they took out Wentz's one receiver. They added him back in this game, but in this game, really our flaw was the defense. The defense didn't play to their full. They didn't give it their all like they usually do.
Yeah, I think defense is a big part to blame, but ultimately, like we did our three keys to the loss this week, and I think it's Howie because I am over Howie. And then my second's Carson, just because he did play poorly, and I think he's talented enough that he should be able to overcome what he's going through. But I mean, I understand it takes time. But for this past game, I think he's number two. And then my third, I would say, was we were talking about either linebackers or play calling. So they're both like all three or all four, I guess, are huge pieces into the loss, and they're going to have to fix them up.
I can't stand it. I'm in this. I was telling Sam this the other day, and I think I said it on our episode too. I'm in this constant, like, my brain is going in this cycle of Carson played an awful game and was missing throws, but Doug called a terrible game that doesn't suit Carson's strengths. But Howie built a completely terrible roster that's not a championship caliber. So I'm going through this whole mental cycle over and over again. And it honestly, it kept me up all night Sunday night. I didn't sleep at all because I was just thinking about that in my brain.
Yeah.
And you're right, though, to the fact that the defense should be able, like, at least our offense is putting up something. So it would be nice if our defense could play like they should and help out our team and kind of bail out the offense so that we're not screaming at them all the time. But right now, I think that they're lucky that the offense is having so many problems because it's kind of getting them under the radar and not talked about as much. But they are a problem.
Yeah, Doug's play calling was atrocious last game. We asked him for some run plays. That's all he gave us was run plays. The whole first half was run plays. And the Rams defense the second play we did, they saw right through us, and they knew that we were going to keep going with the runs, and they knew how to shut us down, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, Jess was literally calling play for play what should have happened, and she's all about the play calls.
I can't. The play call drives me nuts because I love forcing the issue of the run early, but I hate getting away from it as quickly as they do sometimes. The run game was working. Miles Sanders looked good, and what I really liked was he fumbled the first time he touched the ball, and they went right back to him after. Don't let it shake his confidence. Give him the ball right back, and he looked really good after that. And him and Boston Scott, I think, rushed for a combined 11 first downs, which was great. Miles, I think, had 8 himself, and then they get down by a little bit and then they start to scramble and things start to go all over the place. So I wish they would stick with it a little bit more because that's how you make defenses tired. And you talk to linemen. Linemen love run blocking. They love blocking when you run the football. They hate pass protection. So if you just let them force it a little bit longer, if it's the third quarter and you're getting negative yardage, that's different. But they didn't have a single negative run play. No negative yardage from run plays. Which, have they ever done that before?
And we're seeing it as well, too. Like, all the interceptions that Carson does have this year were forced. Like, it's not like the defense came up and did something crazy and earned like, they were just forced. Carson's throwing in double and triple coverage on these interceptions. So I think incorporating the run more would let him relax, calm it down, and I don't understand why they don't see that, especially the one in the end zone. There was no need to throw deep into the end zone right there. Not deep, but into the end zone right there. It was like first or second down.
Yeah, I on the one play I saw, I think it was an interception. He threw it to the right side, and his whole left side was open, and I don't know why he picked to throw so deep. Like, it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it is kind of concerning for just his field vision. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get why he's not seeing the open receivers.
He's not going through his progressions, and that was something that he struggled with early on. But it's one of those things that I know there were, conversations that him and John DeFilippo didn't get along, and obviously DeFilippo didn't pan out in Minnesota with the Vikings. He lost his job there, but I mean, they think about the way he looked in 2017 versus what he looks like now or what he looked like last year. I mean, what do you think, Giovanni? Because people are talking about Press Taylor and what has he done and why is he still here? But they don't want to bring in DeFilippo because apparently they didn't really get along. But he looked the best then. Would you want to bring DeFilippo back?
Honestly, Coach DeFilippo, I think that we should bring him back, and I think that it's weird because I think since it maybe they didn't get along because Coach DeFilippo was so maybe hard on him to be his best, and after he was gone, he maybe he didn't feel like he had to play his best because there wasn't someone on his back.
No, I think that's a great point. I would be all on board to bring DeFilippo back. I think he was on Carson, and that's what got Carson to do his thing. I think maybe him and Doug are too good of friends, and I think maybe he doesn't see the O-line coaching by committee, or not O-line, but offensive coaching by committee kind of thing that they got going on there as serious. So I think maybe he does need that person that's going to get on him.
Yeah, it's I think that we did play the best with Coach DeFilippo, and I think that we need to at least consider it. At least consider bringing him back. But yeah, it's. I think that we should have kept him. I don't think we should have let him go.
Agreed.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the Ertz nonsense? Because I know it really made me and my family upset. Because, all the things that he's done throughout his career for the Eagles team, and he's basically Wentz trusts him the most with the ball, and taking him out of the game plan made no sense. And I think that's one of the main problems why our whole team is just like not at their all. I think that Howie's just he took out Ertz, and then I think all the rookies too. They're like, maybe when it's time for my contract, maybe Howie's gonna treat me like this too. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how he's causing all these mental blocks with Carson, kind of, and I think he did the same exact thing with Zach Ertz. I mean, they got in a screaming match right before the first game of the season, and yeah, some guys can play with that kind of motivation to go after and show him, but most guys can't. And I think that was idiotic of Howie to get in a screaming match in front of the whole team with one of his star receivers. Well, tight end, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I hate Howie. He's so frustrating.
It's one of those things too where it's like exactly what you said. Like some guys can go out and play with that mentality, but it's just unnecessary to have that looming over you. Like it's just unnecessary to have that extra thing that's kind of keeping you up at night when you should just be focused on the game and nothing else. Like a guy like Zach Ertz, who's as talented as he is as durable as he is, and has been as successful for you as he has, for you to let that happen with him of all people, like if it was someone else, like if it was still like going back and forth with a Jason Peters, or if it was, I don't know, if they were having this problem with Alshon Jeffrey or something, like to me, that's not as big of a deal as it is with the guy like Zach Ertz. And I know people want to complain about his yards after catch and this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, the guy has the most the most reliable hands on the team is what I meant to say. But also, I mean, he's a guy that he goes out and battles for you. The man lacerated a kidney He lacerated a kidney and broke a rib, but went out there to play with the danger of internal bleeding just to help this team win and to be there for Carson as the reliable pass catcher for Carson because they had nothing else. Like, if you don't want that guy on your team, what are you doing? And it's just been so disrespectful. Like, they offered him a certain number of a guaranteed money in November, and then they offer him not only less guaranteed money than they offered him before, but less guaranteed money than Austin Hooper is getting from the Browns. It's a slap in the face after everything that he's done for you, because he's also he restructured his deal multiple times to make room for guys like Alshon Jeffrey to get his extension, and this guy and that guy, and he's done everything to make it team friendly and hometown discount. He's done all of it already, and 100% outplayed his first contract. There's no reason why this should be an issue. It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
It doesn't make sense to me either. Going back to what you said about the lacerated kidney, he could have died. And you know what?
Yeah.
He went out there and he played for our team, and you know, just the level of disrespect. It amazes me. It's really.
The Eagles should be embarrassed.
Yeah.
The organization should be embarrassed by what they're doing.
Yes. I'm just gonna say one more thing before we end this podcast. I love this team with everything I have. They fight, and they fight just like me. And you know, I think that we can go out there and win that Bengals game and get our heads in the game and be that swaggered out defense and offense that we know and that we love. And I think we can repeat 2017, get that Lombardi trophy. We didn't start off the best, but you know, it doesn't matter. We can still make this season great. That's where I'm gonna end it. Go check out the Babes on Broad, and I'll have a podcast up next week. I'm going to be with Kyle from the cheerleading squad, and I'm really excited about that. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime.